Hey, what's up? And welcome in to Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast and checking us out on YouTube as well, youtube.com. Look for the Jonathan Hood Show and like, share, and subscribe what we do here. Plenty of content on the Bulls and their run and some NBA as well, to college football and wrap up for the Major League Baseball season. And, of course, Bears football. Bear down. The Bears are a winning football team. What a crazy game against Cincinnati. That's why we have our guy Ken Davis here from That Davis Show with us here to talk Bears. Ken, how you doing?
I'm well, man. How are you doing, Hoodie?
I'm recovering. I'm good now. Like after that game, like everybody around Chicago had like this heart attack. Like what's going to happen? And the Bears pull it out against Cincinnati. So I think we're good now.
Yeah, that one was one of those games where you went from heaven to hell within a short time frame. Like that was a hard one to deal with, especially with your expectations of they're not going to get an onside kick, but man, how they're playing, they're going to get an onside kick. Like when you get to that part in football, it's bad business.
I want to ask you, I'm very curious about your thoughts about the defensive side of the football for the Bears. Because when we ask the question, are the Bears good? Are the Bears in the middle? Are they Fugazi? All the questions about the Bears. But the one thing that I've talked a lot about is this defense and finding a way to get to the quarterback and finding a way to be opportunistic in the secondary. What's your overall thoughts about this game? Because against a pedestrian quarterback in Joe Flacco, Flacco almost threw for 500 yards. So what do you think of the defensive performance first?
It was terrible. That's straight up and down. I'll give this caveat. At some point, you're going to have to deal with the fact that your defensive backfield is injured, like tore up from the floor up, basically. Like you can only hide that for so long. Everyone has film. And I would say over like the last 4 weeks or maybe month that we've been talking, one of the first things we talked about was the fact that they were getting so many turnovers without a lot of pressure. And then Dennis Allen was ginning up pressure. But again, tape is out. They know now, okay, if so-and-so's on the line, probably what you're going to do, you may be able to sneak your nickel if it's a healthy Kyler Gordon or Gardner Johnson. You know, you may be able to pull some of that, but that's not sustainable. And I think getting to what it may be implying, it's the front four. Like they're not getting any pressure whatsoever. And it's only so long that you can cover up what's on the back end with no pressure from the front four. And it's bitten them in the butt, like significantly.
Ken, I just the deadline is come and gone, and the Bears didn't do anything significant to this. They're just expecting to be better on the defensive line. And I'm just saying that dog don't hunt, man. It's just that. I'd like for you to talk a little bit about Adingbo, who is now out for the season. Tell me, maybe my eyes are wrong. That's why I come to you with this. The Bears tell us that against the run, Adingbo had some effect. And I say that's not what he was paid to do. He wasn't here to be able to stop the run on the inside. He is on the corner on the other side of Montez Sweat to be able to get after the passer. If you stop the run along the way, fine. But I just felt like he's not here, and I don't miss him because I just never thought, hey, there's a play that Adingbo made that made a difference for the defense. Hey, right there, I can't pinpoint a time where I'm like, yep, Adingbo did the job all season long.
The first two games, he flashed on pressure and a couple of nice run plays. I remember one run play, he stopped a runner in the backfield. I remember another one, he came around and tackled the guy from behind. But that's like, I'm talking week 2. You know, like that, to your point. It's nothing worse than when your team gets somebody from another team or signs someone from another team that it doesn't seem like that team is interested in and that team drafted. Yeah. And you hope, and we always hear this, you want to get a guy, and you heard this a lot with Adingbo, you want to get a guy when he's going into that second contract on the upswing. And we haven't gotten that. I mean, even more to go with your point of pressure, we were also correct me if I'm wrong, I thought we was hinted about perhaps getting a little NASCAR-ish package with him being able to play inside, and that was going to cause pressure also. Like we really didn't get it, and it's not just all on him because I don't think any of us thought looking at him like, oh, we're set. You know, like we got him, y'all. We got him. It was never that. It was, I hope Ryan Poles is right, but his track record would indicate he's probably not right. And I mean, I don't like saying that, but facts are facts. Like he isn't right. So and you haven't gotten to play, and I mean that's definitely hurt the line, but you still need that play from the guy that you're paying two guys that you're paying money. Now we can say that Grady Jarrett has been injured, and we'll find out towards the end of this year how much it's been injury and or father time, and Atlanta knowing that probably it's time to let him go, but also that could be cap situations. But Montez Sweat still hasn't consistently. He has been playing better, but we're not looking for him to be a part of the band. We're looking for him to be Michael Jackson, Ralph Tresvant, or Bobby, he came back for New Edition for anybody that's too young or anybody that's too old, or the Jackson 5 with Michael Jackson for anybody that's too young. We're looking for Mick Jagger, which all right. Yeah. So John or Paul. All right, I've done enough. Justin Timberlake. I'll end it right there. We're looking for the guy that is out front and sets the standard. And you haven't gotten that from Montez Sweat. And it's funny, I was driving the other day and I was thinking it's really wild that I remember back then the debate was, well, get Chase Young because we all thought about what he was at school, at college, and what he was prior to getting hurt as a Commander. It was sexier than what Montez Sweat was. And I know that New Orleans re-signed him. And I guess I would still say that Sweat has been the better bet, but neither one of them has been what was expected when they were traded away from the Commanders a couple of seasons ago. So that's the biggest issue is there's no press. Things would be so much simpler if 25%, 30% of the time you were pressuring the quarterback with your 4 down linemen.
Davis, I'm sure that many of our listeners and viewers have been to the boat, been to the casino to see New Edition. They're very familiar with the act.
Okay.
I would say,
just making sure.
I would say that is the case. I also do want to point out, though, in Maryville, it was a Bobby Brown St. Valentine's Day concert, and he was the headliner, and he came out there and sang a song, got winded, and then brought in some like young cats to kind of do some of his songs. And then he came back out and said, let's hear it for fat ass Bobby Brown. And he put the mic out, right? And then he asked the audience, what do you want to hear now? I'm like, you don't have a set list?
Wow.
You don't have a set list? What do you mean when I want to hear that?
Just turn the mics on. I mean, I was thinking that, and now I look at the Temptations, and I'm like, man, you know what you got to think? We are still lucky that all the New Edition are still alive and brothers enough to be together. Because that's another thing. I can't stand him. I hate him. The fact that this isn't prime New Edition, but and I've seen them at least once, and I plan on going to the concert, the tour with Boyz II Men and Tony Braxton, because I do want to see Boyz II Men and New Edition together before I can't see them together. Yeah. But yeah, he's been winded, he's been out of shape, and hey, he's still alive. Hey, that's a lot. That's a hard life with all the abuse that he's put on that body, Hoodie. So I'm not going to complain too much. And if you want to give him your money, I've never been Bobby. I think now, because remember, I didn't know all the way how young I was. I was like, oh, he was part of New Edition. But I didn't know like which one did he replace or whatever, because I didn't grow up where I was watching videos all the time. So I'm now not, but I was more of a Bobby without than Bobby with New Edition fan. I'm an Any Heartbreak more New Edition fan. You know what I'm saying? Give me my Johnny more than you give me my Bobby. I feel like the Home Again album, as we stopped talking about football, was kind of short-sighted because you had to give Bobby so much solo stuff when that's not what we was here for. So that I should close the door on my boy band.
I have no problem with that. This being a side podcast and talking about the popularity of New Edition. I have no problem with that at all. And then send it out to New Edition to see what they think. You see what a Johnny Gill, a my Johnny Gill, what he would think about that.
People don't know how hot that. Listen, around the early '90s, that Johnny Gill was going up. I mean,
oh yeah,
I was a small player, but it was going up.
I don't want to know what was going up, but I'm sure it was going up. I'm sure it was going up, Ken Davis. Yes, I believe that. back to the Chicago Bears, I do want to ask you about, offensively speaking, what we saw there. I'm just overjoyed for several reasons about the offense. First of all, the ability for the Chicago Bears to come back in that ball game to win, because that shows resolve. Mm-hmm. For Caleb Williams to be one of the reasons, the major reasons why that happened, is awesome. But man, that running game, it goes to show you offensive line discipline, opening holes. It gives the confidence of, I won't say any running back, but definitely Monangai. If the holes wasn't open, he's opening it himself. So I'm so happy for the Rook that he was able to get his flowers and really help move the chains for the Bears offensively.
I watched a lot of him at Rutgers.
Yeah.
James Naveau, my partner NBC, put me on to him. So if you watch him, you kind of know the type of running back he was. A lot of people viewed him as a 7th-round pick, like he was just a nothing. He was a guy that, if you're given a chance, he can be good to a degree. I don't know the levels of that. I'm not gonna just go crazy with it. But I was saying with on the show with Alex, the Windy City Pod, that he's not as good as this guy, but his running style reminds me of Marshawn Lynch from the point of agility. A lot of times with power backs, I don't think we pay attention to how agile they are. And Marshawn had a real choppy type of running pattern, and it allowed him to change pace. And you see that where Monangai bounced it outside, and he has an innate ability, and you kind of just hit it, to sense where the weakness is in the line. Like, you could see him, oh, no, I'm supposed to go here. And a lot of times, like with DeAndre Swift, it's I'm supposed to go here, go. And you can see with Monangai, I'm supposed to go here, I'm going to go, but I'm going to stretch it more. I'm not just going to go hit that angle straight. I'm going to widen this angle out to allow me to perhaps get a better angle to get past the defender or smack the defender with my helmet. To have your backup guy when DeAndre Swift has been a key integral part of this offense, right? And we knew as a sub that Monangai was doing well, but to start and to come out and have a phenomenal game in that manner when everything was on him, it makes you happy to see a young man be able to do that. And this offensive line, particularly in run pro, has been playing tremendous. You know, like just they've been exceptionally well. And anybody, if I tell you, if you want to play a game and the game will be, let me pop you like this and you stand like this, or let you pop me like that and I stand like that, you're going to prefer to be the popper. And the reason I'm bringing that up is you prefer to get off the line and hit someone rather than backing up and waiting for some freakish athlete to figure out what he's about to do to you. And it's all reaction. Anything is easier if it's not reactionary. If you know I have to go here and you have to stop me from going there, it's better than I have to wait and see what move you're about to do. So that is even making the line probably better for the linemen because they're getting off and they're getting to hit somebody. But also, it's the philosophy. It's now you're seeing where if you were a big Ben Johnson fan, this is what you expected. Because I've said this on here plenty of times. Ben Johnson believes running is sexy. And most brilliant offensive minds do not believe that. That's not how they're going to show you how smart they are. He believes in that, and you see that, and then you see it with the trickeration. And that's what we talked about this a week ago. Layups. They need layups. They're not good enough not to have layups. They need layups. And Ben Johnson showed you his adaptation and growth within this, with how he's looking at what he's not doing right, with also the groceries that he has in the cupboard board. And that, again, because I think he's the biggest part of all of this. If the Bears really want to sustain being a good team moving forward for the next 5 to 10 years, having one of the better coaches, he's not there yet, but having one of the better coaches that isn't just a CEO. He has something that he's an expert in, but also he can delegate, and teaching is one of his strongest parts, can really help with us here, help Bears rather, to be able to sustain winning. Because I think people forget coaching can cover up a lot of bull. Great coaching can have a season where a key player goes down and you're like, how the hell are we going to do this? And that coach can get back in there and whip something up and be like, man, we played 7-8 games without so-and-so and we are 6-2, in that span. And that's something we haven't had here sustainably for perhaps ever, but particularly if you don't have all the horses.
That's why you never apologize for victories, because you're right. In sports, in life, but in sports, you want to accentuate the positives and hide the negatives, Ken. Like if you have something it's like that you can showcase, like you might feel good about the running game, feel good about Caleb Williams, feel good about the weapons. And your defense, you might feel good about your linebackers, but not sure about your defensive line, not sure about the injuries and the kind of the issues that you've had having your fourth and fifth guys back there. But you can really express as a football team what you do best and go with that and try to do that as best as possible, because you never know when you might be in a battle with the Cincinnati Bengals where you hang on to win the game. So, we were giving letter grades on ESPN Chicago this morning on Cap and J Hood about what's your letter grade as we're at the midpoint of the season. And I said like B-. And the reason why I said B- is because it's the defense. When coaches say we have more than enough, I know they're lying. They don't have more than enough, but it's still not good enough. And so as much as I'm optimistic about the offense, special teams got some ways to go. I didn't like what I saw there. So I felt like B- is a good number, is a good letter grade. And you can either go up from that or go down from that, but it feels like a B- team to me.
I think this is a problem with how some people feel when all we're trying to do is be honest.
Yeah.
And it's not that we grew up in Chicago. We have love for the Bears, even being in the media and being quote unquote unbiased. But you got to be honest. They haven't beaten really great teams yet. Like if we're being like, so you've beat some dogs. I believe the teams they beat have a loss record for like 31 losses. All right. In the halfway part of the season, 12 and 31 and something like that. But you said it, you still have to beat the team that are on your schedule, but
That's
you're in shootouts at the end of the game. And this is the thing I think we're trying to say. The good notes are very important. Your quarterback is able to have fourth quarter drives to win the game. We haven't had that around here, right?
Right.
You've been able to run the football and stop the run consistently, right? Things that we haven't been able to do consistently around here. And it isn't, and I know I'm like a broken record. It isn't I'm running because I'm told to run. I'm running because this is a part of my offense. There's a reason. There's more to behind this than running than just we got to run the football, right? It's matching the pass plays. But like you said, I'll give Ryan Post this. The amount of holes that you used to have are there. They aren't really there. You are really just left tackle, DT, edge rusher. Like you got linebackers are good. Your DBs are probably going to be good. Your skill positions are fine at this point. And people would be like, man, but dude, they had holes all across that offensive line before they made those moves. You needed guards, plural. All right, so you were playing with center forever. You were playing games when it came to center, right? So now center guard being set. Darnell Wright looking like where he was drafted with an injury. Now it's because I was still like, well, is he really who we think he is? He's fine over there. We're good with that right there. Now you just need to focus on. It doesn't even have to be Joe Alt. You just need a guy that's decent at your left. And Tooney can help him out. And you can use your tight ends and your running backs to assist if it gets real freaky deaky over there. But because your line is stout, but the defensive line, if you got to get a guy to be who Montez Sweat's supposed to be, basically.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, like he is the Robin to whoever the Batman was supposed to be now. But I'll say this, and still on a positive note. You can do that with a first and a second round pick. Even now, you have to pick right. That's the question. And the guy that picks the groceries hasn't hit. Hopefully, the power dynamic with Ben Johnson has more insight into that. Plus, Dennis Allen's going to be looking for a Dennis Allen type of guys. I'm sure that don't fit the necessarily Eberflus style of play. But I think B- is fair. They're playing well. They're ahead of schedule. But they've still been under some duress. But the duress has helped them build character or perhaps build more of a foundation because they've been through it now. Now they've been through, can we come back? Yeah, we can actually come back and be able to do this. So I think B- is spot on because they're not good to the point. They're not beyond reproach now. Like, let's not take it too far. Like,
yeah. Well, the guy that we just showed on YouTube, I mean, this is what it comes down to. Because when you get to the draft, I keep hearing about, best on your board and all that. All I know is that Ben Johnson had a big influence early in that draft. Because did you have to draft Colston Loveland? I guess you did if you don't think that Cole Kmet fits in what you're doing. So, all right, cool. Did you have to get Luther Burden? Well, I guess if you feel like DJ Moore is not going to be here next year and you see a scenario where it's Odunze on one side, Luther Burden on the other side, and Colston Loveland as your tight end, where Caleb Williams is your quarterback, and then fixing your offensive line, that's fine if that's your vision. But the way this thing's been built, Ken, it's just ass backwards in some ways, especially when it comes to the lines. The whole deal of like, I'm going to build a house from scratch, and you know what I want to do? I am going to put the sink in first. Well, why the fuck would you put the sink in first? So what about the exterior? What about the windows, the foundation? No, never mind about the foundation. I haven't even poured the concrete yet. I'm putting the sinks in first, the bathroom sink and the kitchen sink, because I need my linebackers first. I know Eberflus want the linebackers. I get that. But you still did not address the defensive line. So that's why I always thought that Poles acquiesced too much. And maybe he was good with it, but I think that he listened to his coach. Like, this situation with this past draft is definitely Ben Johnson. I need more offensive weapons. When Eberflus is here, I need my linebackers. Fine. I like Edmonds and Edwards. Fine. But you still didn't do enough for the pass rush. And so that's, to me, kind of ass backwards. And hopefully this draft, Ben Johnson will be like, yeah, you know what, best on the board, give me that wide receiver. Give me that tight end. Give me that offensive. Because, man, you got to take care of your defense and build with them. You got to get youngins there too.
The Eberflus part, the maddening part is, and this you can do it in more ways. It doesn't have to be the kind of undersized penetrator. You saw what they did with DeForest Buckner with the Indianapolis Colts. The fact that he didn't get a 3 technique, you would think that would have been high in his cover 2 philosophy, that, one thing I'm going to do is collapse the pocket or tackle the quarterback. Like, that to me is where it's like, you can have some average linebackers back there. And I'm going to say, I know how important, particularly trying to get the Urlacher-esque tall linebacker over the middle that can make it harder for court passes over the middle or deflect passes. But that is the crazy part. Then one thing that you just talked about, throwing the sink in first. How many teams have we seen that are either really good or they're not good, but they always are really good on one side of the ball, even if perhaps their lead player isn't great? And I'm talking about like the Dallas Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
Think about, since Tony Romo was their quarterback, their offense has always been good because Jerry Jones, listen, whatever you say, Jerry's problem is he interferes. Jerry's problem over the last 10, 15 years isn't really drafting and pro personnel. They're not as good, but drafting, he's improved vastly. He just doesn't draft glue players, and he doesn't allow the head coach to be the head coach. That's right. What burns them. You don't have to listen to head coach. I can go talk to Jerry, and that messes the whole shebango up. But you look at the Eagles and think about how many quarterbacks they've went through that they've all played well because the offensive line was set. It was and the fact that the Bears have tried to shoehorn in who's the next quarterback, but never put a premium on protecting him. And that you've had your last 2 prominent quarterbacks have been top in the league and getting sacked should set off alarm bells that finally they were listening to the alarm this past offseason with guard center guard. So yeah, that part is frustrating. I will say this. You did not have to draft Colston Loveland in the first round.
You didn't. No.
To me, and again, this could be, I'm a Rome guy, even though Rome has to improve with catching. One of those draft picks, and that was under 2 different regimes outside of the GM still being there, should have been an offensive lineman. Like, it's not a question. It should have been an offensive lineman, but we're here now, and this is what you have. And right now it's working. Most teams have holes. particularly teams that are now coming through another rebuild. This one is faster than the last one, even though you built up more compared to when they ripped everything down when Eberflus and Poles came in. This last year of Eberflus, they had more stuff. It's still, to what you were saying, the foundation was, we got to go cut all the slab is cracked, Hoodie.
Yeah.
The slab is cracked. And now it's easier because the offensive line slab is almost fully repaired. And you can focus, you can get a free agent, and you can get and you can use your draft picks to hopefully try to create pressure on the other side. But again, I think the Bears are right now, depending on how the season ends, they're heading in a positive direction. It doesn't seem fraudulent. I guess I'll end it right there. This doesn't seem smoke and mirrors, and it's funny to say when you're talking about a coach that uses a little razzle dazzle.
Yeah.
This doesn't seem like smoke and mirrors. This seems foundational and something that they can build on.
A couple other things. One, I know you're going to disagree with, but I'm going to say it anyway. Okay, and that is, as you saw the final box score in the Bears game against the Bengals, one of the positives in the box score was Rome Odunze. He was targeted 3 times, had nothing. Had a chance to get a touchdown. Better wide receivers would get that ball, even though it wasn't perfectly between the numbers. But actually, that was a good thing for the Bears because Caleb Williams was not so reliant on Rome Odunze and realized, even though that's my homie and we're in the same draft class, I got to distribute the football. I got to get it to Colston Loveland. I got to get it to Cole Kmet, even though that was a hospital ball, unfortunately. They put him in concussion protocol. I got to get it to my running back. I got to get it to Zacchaeus. I like the idea that Caleb Williams was distributing the football and that he wasn't so reliant on Rome. So to me, the young quarterback learned that, hey, he don't need 10 targets, especially if I give it to him and he still doesn't get the touchdown. Cool. I'm going to have to go to other people. We'll do a little razzle-dazzle. We'll do whatever we need to do to get into the end zone. But I think that was a good learning curve for Caleb to realize, hey, man, that man don't need 10 targets. You need to let's make sure that others eat in this offense.
Now, is this what I'm supposed to disagree with you about?
I'm just saying, like, I know
I don't. You're speaking to the choir and to my soul. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
no. Okay. We just talked about this last week or the week before, probably the week before. What's the point of having all these weapons if all I'm going to do is lock in on Rome when he is double covered? Right? That makes no sense. Let alone Caleb is actually making it harder for himself. All right, showing his tendency of, well, we know which way he's going to go when everything's going upside down. So no, I get Rome's dad or whatever because that's your kid or whatever. Even though I personally believe parents should stay the hell off of social media when it comes to professional athletes because that's an adult. Like, first of all, like, yeah, that's I have a son and a daughter. Yes, I'm going to be upset if he was playing the sport and I don't feel like he got the ball, even though if he's the guy that gets the ball majority of the time, I'm probably going to shut my mouth, or at least I'm going to tell my friends, but I'm not going to post it on social media. Again, this is my preference. He's a grown-up. I'm just saying what I would do. But for me, I think it's spot on, and I think it will help Rome down the line because he will get single covered more often because if Caleb shows a tendency of using DJ Moore as a wide receiver, because now we don't have to use him as a running back to get him touches because Caleb is looking away from him majority of the time. Like, let's not act like DJ Moore isn't nice. DJ Moore is nice. We saw in the last play of the game, the separation that the football speed separation that Colston Loveland has. You know, we know what the running backs can do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, pepper it and spread it around. I'm totally with you. And I mean, that's what you want to see in a victory where, man, you know that guy that we always depend on, we didn't even have to use him this game. Like, you want to see that because it tells you that there's more to your team than just that one guy. And I've said this on here, compared to past Bears skill position units, this is one of the better ones since the Bennett, Brandon, and Alshon Jeffrey, and of course Matt Forte. Let me never forget Matt Forte. And they're not that nice, but this is one of the better units. I mean, so like, yeah, I'm totally with you. It was good that took place.
The Bears are a 4.5 point favorite against the Giants. It's going to be crappy weather. Apparently, you're going to have some rain, and it's going to start maybe snow. Maybe some flurries are coming. I want to get your thoughts about this contest because, again, a winnable game for the Bears if they take care of business on both sides of the football. What do you think?
I think, one, that Jackson Dart is playing a lot better than I thought he would. He has some qualities that it'll be interesting if they grow after the league gets tape on him next year. Mm-hmm. And if Dable, I mean, I think we think Dable is good with the quarterback. He's just not the genius that everybody thought he was leaving Buffalo. But I think the Cam Scatterboot thing is really, I would be more like, and if they have league neighbors, I'd really be like, whoa. But I think the Cam's, I think that having a powerful runner who can catch the ball and is just nasty as far as I don't want to go down, like looking at him in college and how, like, I mean, that last game he sold his soul for the amount, like he was wore out that last game. Yeah. I think his injury, I will lean the Bears anyway, but his injury makes me even more lean towards the Bears because I think that you can figure out kind of what you're going to get out of Jackson Dart. So I mean, the problem will be the pressure. I think him being a young player with not a lot of experience, he's going to probably run into a couple of sacks, kind of some of the stuff we saw with Caleb last year. So I think I won't say it's going to be ginned up pressure, but he's going to give you pressure because he's not going to know what to do in a couple of situations. I listen, it could be a situation like CJ Stroud and I know that Jaden Daniels has been injured this year, and I'm just using these guys as recent examples of first year swagger, second year we'll see with Jackson Dart. But his first year swagger is nice right now. Far as right now, it's nice. Like you can see why he was drafted. He was one of those guys. It was kind of like, who? Wait, really? I kind of see what they're saying, and no, if he can, and in New York, in that market, if he can pull it off, he will reap benefits like no other. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bears. I think the Bears should at least, I would want to say the Bears should at least win by 6 points, if I'm being honest with you. I feel like that. I mean, this isn't, even when you talk about even when we're talking about last week, you're talking about we've seen a player up close and a good running back in Chase Brown. Mm-hmm. You have the best receiver tandem in the NFL. And a crafty ass vet that I'm sure all he thinks when he's sitting at home on Sundays is like, give me those guys and see what I can do with. Put my beer down my beer. And you saw what Joe Flacco, being a crafty veteran with the Super Bowl ring, that he played in that period. He played an essential piece to that Super Bowl victory or that run to the Super Bowl. This isn't that. You know what I'm saying? So I expect the Bears to win. I will say this, and we talked about how bad the defense has been playing up front. It wouldn't surprise me if it's closer, but I would expect not to see some of the same issues that we saw perhaps 3-4 weeks ago on the offense being as disconjointed through the pass game as it was. So that'll be interesting to see if they can kind of start building up more. There's still going to be dips in the passing game. I'm focusing on Caleb. But, yeah, I definitely have the Bears winning this one.
Tell people about your YouTube and where we can find you on Sunday.
Find me at That's Davis. Also find me on the Windy City podcast on Sundays with Alex Shapiro. I always appreciate you, Hoodie, for bringing me on, man. And I look forward to talking to you down the line.
I spent time with Alex Shapiro at training camp. I think he was there next to me.
I'm sure he probably was. I'll ask him. We have to record right after this if we're still recording.
All right, brother. Thank you very much. There he is, everybody. Ken Davis, as we talk Chicago Bears with Ken every week, and cannot wait for this matchup against the New York Giants because we want to see what else that the Bears are going to offer, right? It's been a good season so far, and so we look forward to seeing what happens with this Bears team. It's like the Bears are winning. What do I do with my hands? I can't say thumbs down. I can't say thumbs in the middle. It's a winning team. All the teams in the NFC North are over 500 or above. So what do? Well, you can use one hand and you use the other hand and clap and cheer for this Bears team because things are going well so far. And don't forget to check out and like, share, and subscribe. We do here on YouTube and also on the podcast as well. Share it out. We got so much content, and we do it for you right here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. So long, everybody.